We start in Parliament, where private investigator Paul O'Sullivan returns to the ad hoc committee investigating allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the criminal justice system. Now, this after he walked out last week saying that he had a flight to catch, leaving committee members stunned. SABC News reporter Bulelani Phillip, he's watching these proceedings for us. Bulelani, good morning once more. In the first crossing, we spoke about the expectations, and of course Sarah Jane Trent, that's also bound to be quite interesting, and her name has come up severally as well.
Good morning, Sakina, and to the viewers again. And of course, Mr. Paul O'Sullivan as well as Sarah Jane Trent had actually been working together. And to recap some of the evidence that emerged from yesterday, a former senior prosecutor in the National Prosecuting Authority, Advocate Michael Mashugha, did testify that there was quite a considerable interference from Mr. O'Sullivan as well as Ms. Sarah Jane Trent in a criminal case that involved Mr. O'Sullivan, and he felt that there was sufficient evidence to actually charge Mr. Paul O'Sullivan, but he says that this interference actually affected the investigating officer as well as him, who was the prosecutor at the time, to a point where the charges against Mr. O'Sullivan had been withdrawn in November 2017. And the other evidence that was laid by Advocate Mashugha was that he felt that Mr. O'Sullivan as well as Sarah Jane Trent had actually captured the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, in that they were working quite closely with former IPID boss Robert McBride, and that given that Mr. O'Sullivan had actually paid for the legal fees of McBride while he was under suspension, and he paid 200,000 rand for McBride to fight the suspension. And he says that when McBride returned to office, it appeared that Mr. McBride had actually been leaking private information to both Mr. O'Sullivan as well as Sarah Jane Trent of private citizens, and he felt that that kind of a relationship was actually capturing the IPID, as well as the issues around the investigations against the former acting National Police Commissioner Phillip. He says that O'Sullivan had actually been actively taking statements from witnesses, which is something that ordinarily should be done by an IPID officer. In one instance, it actually gone to the estate of Mr. Phahlane, where it actually forced the estate manager to actually make a statement, who then refused. And then there was a threat against that estate manager, and therefore he felt that that kind of behavior was unlawful, and also the driver of Mr. Phahlane was also, threatened as well, in that they had actually got his private credit information, and that was used to actually leverage his cooperation in terms of making a false statement against Mr. Phahlane. And he says that that kind of behavior as well, it was against the IPID Act, because Mr. O'Sullivan was impersonating an IPID officer. So the committee would also be interested to actually pursue that line of questioning, and that issue is going to come up quite frequently this morning. Again, late last night, as I've said earlier, Sakina, is that Mr. O'Sullivan has since submitted a written apology to the committee for his walkout last week, and I suspect that the committee, before they even begin, they would insist that Mr. O'Sullivan, given that he had humiliated the committee members when he walked out, they would insist that apology come verbally in full view, just as in the same way that he walked out of the committee in full view. So the proceedings are expected to begin this morning at 10 o'clock. You can follow those on our social media pages as well as channel 404. Sakina, it's back to you.
Thank you so much, Bulelani Phillip, who will keep us abreast of developments there at the ad hoc committee.